Hey everybody, welcome in. Just like always, just starting to kind of prep our nails here, get them ready to work on today. Give everybody a little chance to jump in. Hopefully everybody's getting their notifications. So we'll just give them a couple more minutes here to get everybody joined in. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful day today. Looks like we got a few people joining us already. Just gonna kind of shape up some nails here, and then we'll get started. All right. Hopefully everybody is having a wonderful Friday. Happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully you're having a great day. Hopefully your weather is beautiful wherever you're at. Or maybe it's evening or morning or whatever time it may be. Welcome everybody, welcome in. Hello to all of our regulars, Top Nail. I love that you're always the first here. Not Addison, Elizabeth. I'm so sorry, I'm gonna mispronounce your name, Alikia. I apologize if I mispronounced that name, but welcome, hello. Victoria, hello, hi everybody. I'm so excited that you're here. We're gonna be doing a really fun nail today. And I know I've given you guys kind of some teasers and some, told you kind of a little sneak preview of what I was doing. I told you guys yesterday, but I'm actually pulling out some of our original colors, our original glitters from way back when. These were some of our first glitters that we ever came out with here at Young Nails. Some of the first glitters that really kind of got me hooked on using Young Nails products because I love these colors, I love these glitters, and so still 20 some years later, these are still some of my favorite colors. So I'm going to show you guys a really fun design using some of my OG favorites with our glitters today. So we're going to be doing some color mixing, some glitter mixing and some gel work today. So it's going to be a really super fun nail design. And yes, Bonnie and Bella, it is summer inspired nail art today. It's going to be kind of a sunsetty, sunrisey kind of a color combination here today. So let's go ahead and get started. Looks like we got a bunch of people joining us now. Awesome. Thank you guys all for joining us. Starting with our magic wand. I guess I'm kind of going old school this whole week this week. I've got our old school magic wand pusher. We've got our old school glitters today. So old school colors and techniques and everything, but still modern and lots of fun. So I'm going to work right now with my medium sanding band. I'm going to put that into my handpiece here, and I'm going to turn my E-file to about 5,000 RPMs. Okay. I'm going to turn that finger just a little bit at an angle here. I'm going to work up around my cuticle. We're going to prep our surface of our nail, removing the shine. And again, just right up around that cuticle, just kind of slow, short little strokes. And I'm always kind of working in a circular motion. So that bit is going right around that cuticle area in just a nice slow motion. Okay. Then once I get to this corner, I'm going to work in more of a feathering back and forth kind of a motion. Okay. All that's going to do is just gently remove the shine from the surface of the nail. I'm not trying to grind away that surface. I'm not trying to put a lot of pressure on there. Just light feathering strokes. Okay. What this is going to do is it's going to break up the surface oils of that nail, and it's going to remove the shine, and it's going to give me just a little bit of texture so that when I try to apply my product, it's going to have a good textured surface. Again, we don't want to be trying to really grind away that surface. We just want to lightly remove the shine. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to dust this nail off. You can see all of that dust that's up on the skin, all of that dust that's on the nail. I want to remove as much of that dust as possible. So when I dust, I go in the direction, let me come out a little bit. I go in the direction that the nail grows. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull out all of that dust that's down along those down along those sidewalls and around that cuticle area. Brushing downward is going to pull all of that right out of those areas. If you just start to brush from side to side, what's going to happen is it's going to push all of that dust down into those edges, down into those sidewalls, and that's where people do tend to have some lifting issues. So you want to make sure all of these steps that we're doing are going to lead to a really good application and really good adhesion. If you skip any of these steps, if you just kind of half-heartedly just kind of give it a quick little dust, that may not be pulling as much of the dust off as you need, okay? So really make sure that you get in there, pull all of that dust off of that nail, get that nice and clean. Then we're going to come in with our swipe. And you guys see me do this on every live stream. This is the same exact procedure every single time. So if you're a newbie, if you're just joining us, welcome. If you've seen this process multiple times, it's great to see that repetition, because repetition is exactly what we need. This is exactly what we're going to do on every single client. So I took my swipe, and the swipe is going to be our cleanser. It's also going to pull off any extra oils, any surface contaminants, dust, any germs, any bacteria. It's going to clean all of that off of our natural nail, and it's going to leave us now with a nice clean, dry surface. I'm going to give it just a little bit of extra time here. Make sure that that whole surface is dry. You can kind of see right in the center, it's definitely nice and dry. Around the edges, it was looking still just a little bit wet, but now you're seeing that it's starting to go back to that that dry, kind of chalky look. That's exactly what we want after using our swipe, because that's going to show us that all of that dust, all of those germs, all the bacteria, all the surface oils, those are all cleaned off of the nail. So that's what we want our nail to look like once we've cleansed with swipe. Okay, after we do our swipe, we're going to use Protein Bond. Protein Bond is our bonder, you can see in the name, and it's non-acid adhesion. So this bonder, it's not a primer. It doesn't have any of that methacrylic acid in it that primers tend to have. Now, even though it is a non-acid primer, it is still a chemical, and you still want to make sure that you're keeping that product away from the skin and away from the cuticle. So when I apply my Protein Bond, just like I showed you here, I started about halfway down the nail, and then I work back up towards that cuticle, so I'm not flooding my product at that cuticle or getting that onto the skin, okay? With your Protein Bond, and you're doing an artificial enhancement, today we're working with hard gel, I always like to do 2 coats of my Protein Bond. This way it's going to give me that really good added assurance that I'm going to have a really good sticky surface for my gel to adhere to, and it's going to get really great adhesion. Okay, so that is our prep. So again, you guys, this is the same prep whether we're working with acrylics, whether we're working hard gels. The only difference between this prep and working with a gel manicure is you would only do 1 coat of Protein Bond on a gel manicure, but on your enhancements you're always going to do 2, and that's the only difference in your prep. Okay, all right, let's sculpt out a nail today. I'm going to grab one of my forms, come out just a little bit. And this is just one of our standard forms. To put these on, you're going to just peel off that backing, and I'm going to take that little center tab out of the middle. Okay, what we're going to do with this, you're going to stick it onto that form, and you can put it with that shiny side up or the sticky side up. It's personal preference. Doesn't really matter which way you go, but stick that on the back. So that way it's going to give your form a little bit more durability, a little bit more structure. It's going to feel a little bit more firm when you apply that, okay? Then we're going to take our 2 little silver tabs. We got our little silver tab right here and right here. I'm going to pinch those together as evenly as I can. So you can see that as I'm pinching these together, I'm kind of taking my time and just making sure that those come together as close together as possible. That way I know my nail is going to be nice and straight, my form is going to be nice and straight, and everything's going to be nice and even. Okay, we'll open that up just a little bit. I'm going to give it that just a little pinch. Actually, I'm going to pinch that tight at the end so it comes to kind of that little point at the end. And then I'm going to open up that back tab just to give myself a little bit more workability. Okay, let's get this up underneath our nail, and I'm going to start, you can kind of see, I'm going to start at a slight downward angle, and then we'll just lift up until that form comes straight out from that natural nail. Okay, that's what you guys want to see. You want to make sure that your form is coming straight out from that natural nail, that it's not angled downward. Okay, so again, if you look at it from the side view, you're going to see it's coming straight out. If I tilt that up for you guys, It's coming straight out. It's not angled downward. If you angle it downward, then you're going to get more kind of like a claw nail on there, and you're not going to have your proper sidewalls and structure. Okay? I'm going to look at that straight on. I want to make sure that my form is nice and straight. You see it's got that bold line down the center. Let me come back here a little bit for you guys. So it's got that bold line down the center of the form. You want to make sure that that line is coming. Let me grab my brush here. It's coming straight out from that natural finger, okay? Not necessarily the nail, but you want to make sure that that form, whoops, is coming straight out from the finger. That's going to show you that everything is nice and straight, okay? If your form is maybe a little bit off to the side, you see how it kind of is tilted off to the side here? If I leave that form just like that, it's not going to be a straight nail. So I will readjust that. I want to make sure that's nice and straight. Let me just check this real quick. Nice and straight coming out from the finger. Okay, so straight down that finger. All right. Again, welcome in any newbies. Looks like we've got a lot of new names in the chat. Welcome in. I appreciate you guys all being here. Enjoying this fun Friday with us. If you guys haven't yet, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you can always join us and get notifications, okay? All right, so we're gonna start with our clear sculptor today, and this is one of our thicker gels, and these are the precision applicator tubes. We do have product in the pots, but for today, I'm gonna be using one of our applicator tubes here, okay? First thing I'm gonna start with is building out my extension. And we're going to start by squeezing out just a little bit of glitter. Sorry, a little bit of glitter. I always have glitter on the brain. A little bit of gel onto our nail, actually onto our form, and then we're going to guide that up to our natural nail on those sides, right up into those corners. And then I'm going to start to just kind of feather that product down the length of our form. And we're going to just create that extension. We're going to create basically a shell to work on. So all the way down to the point of our form. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to grab my little tile here. I've got a little ceramic tile. I use that to keep my brush clean. So anytime I need to remove gel from my brush, I can use that here. I'm just going to use the edge of my brush and basically drawing a line from the point of that form back up into that sidewall to really bring that product up into my sidewall. Making sure it's a nice straight line. That's going to help us once we're done with our application and we're ready to do our filing. That straight line is going to give us a nice straight lower arch so that we don't have a whole lot of filing to do. I'm just going to kind of clean up that bulk on the end. Whoops, looks like I lost a little bristle from my brush there. I want to make sure that I get that out of there. And you guys, if your if your brush does lose bristles over time, it happens. It's not anything major to worry about. But I've had this brush for years and years, and so every now and then it does lose a bristle. Not a big deal. Okay, so we've got our free edge created there. Let's go ahead and get that into the light. I want to make sure that my brush is away from my light so that I'm not going to cure any gel that's in my brush. We're going to do a quick 30-second freeze in here. Victoria is asking, somebody else was asking what was on my glitter nails here. You guys, I did a video maybe a couple weeks ago by now. Looks about 2 weeks ago from the outgrowth of my nail. But I did a video on filling my nails, and you can check that out. You can see all of the different glitters that I used on my nails as well. So any of the other videos, you guys, check them all out here on our YouTube channel. We've got lots of great free education for you. But make sure you subscribe to our channel so that you can see all of those great videos. Okay, next product we're going to use is our base gel. And the base gel is one of our thinner gels. And this is one of the few that we're actually just going to brush onto the nail. We're not going to float it on. I'm going to pick up just a small little amount on my brush. And then we're going to just really, with some pressure, I'm going to press that product into the nail and then back up to my cuticle area, just creating a thin layer. So base is the gel that you always want to start off with on that natural nail. It's going to be your foundation layer. It's what's going to have the best bond to that natural nail. And this is going to give you the best adhesion for any of those other products that you put on top. Okay. Something else that I like to do with my base is I'll take another little small pearl of it and just kind of drag it right along that area that connects that natural nail to our extension. What this is going to do is it's really going to kind of seal that free edge to our extension so that when we take our form off, it's not going to crack and break right at that seam, okay? So just a little bit of added security to make sure that my extension stays right where it is. Okay, same thing, we're gonna go back into our light for another 30-second freeze. Again, I wanna make sure that I don't have any of my other gels or anything in front of the light that would end up curing, okay? Now, here's where we start to get, I always say this is the fun part, but all of doing nails is fun to me. I love doing nails, but we'll get into the glittery part now. So I did grab a bunch of our glitters, and like I was saying at the beginning, these are some of our original colors, some of the colors that I first learned how to do gels and acrylics and glitter applications with. So today we're gonna be using orange. The orange is called Crush. We got our yellow, which is called Sunshine. Pink, which is Pinkie. And we've also got Shock, which is kind of that bluish purple kind of color. And then I also have Star Sand. Now, Star Sand is more of an iridescent, just a really pretty kind of a color that's gonna go with everything, okay? So what we're gonna do, Licensed Nail Tech says, so pretty, yes. I love working with glitters, you guys. It is so much fun to me, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna actually mix our clear Sculptor with our glitters. And so I'm gonna put a little bit, so we've got 4 colors that I'm gonna mix. I'm gonna put 4 different little swatches here, right onto my mixing tile. And you guys, if you haven't seen this before, the tile that I have is just a little ceramic tile, nothing fancy. You can get them for pretty cheap at your local hardware store. Yeah, just a cheapy little ceramic tile. Okay, so I've got my 4 different little splotches of gel on there, and then we're gonna mix our 4 different glitter colors. So let me give you a little better view here. Okay. All right, so we've got our Crush that we're gonna add, and I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of this over the top of that gel. And you can always add more. You can always add more gel to it if you feel like it's too thick, but for now we're just gonna basically cover the surface of that gel. And that should be enough glitter for our mix today. Okay. All right, and then we've got Pinkie. And Pinkie's got just a hint of a purple glow. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. Yep, a little bit. You can see a little bit of a purple glow in there. So that's why that one's gonna actually work really well with Shock. We're gonna put those 2 together and they're gonna actually blend really well together because they kind of both have that little bit of purple glow to them. Whoops. Okay, I guess I had a little bit more glitter than I needed, but that's okay. Nails Minneapolis, the yellow is called Sunshine. Okay, and again, you guys, these are some of our original Young Nails glitters, but they are still available, and they are my favorites, so if we ever don't have them available, I'm gonna stock up, and then I'm gonna cry when I run out. But they've been around for so long, you guys. They are amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, so all I'm gonna do at this point, let me come in so you can see a little bit. I'm just gonna start to kind of spread those glitters into my gel and just kind of smear them on there. I always say it's kind of like you're buttering your toast in the morning for breakfast, but we're buttering our toast with glitter and gel, so maybe that's not a good idea. Okay, and then once I've got those kind of mixed really well together, I'll do just a nice thin kind of a layer and just kind of press that out. What this does, first of all, it gives me an idea of what my color is going to look like, or if I need to add any more glitter, I can always add more. But it also, by spreading that out nice and thin, it'll press out any of the air bubbles that may have come in there when I was mixing. So it's always important to do that one last quick little smooth out just to make sure everything is nice and clear and no bubbles in there. Okay, I'm going to clean off my little spatula here, and we'll go ahead and mix the rest of our colors. Now, I'm just again going to start by just kind of pressing that glitter in. I feel like that really helps to get that mixing process started. Just press it down in there, and then again you can smear your gels, smear that glitter all together. Nice and quick and easy. Okay, we'll go through all of our colors here, get a good mix. On this one, yeah, I may have added a little bit of extra glitter, but that's okay. I'll kind of check my consistency as we go here and see if I feel like I need to add a little bit more gel. And this one, I actually do feel like I need to add maybe just a touch more. I don't know if you guys can see, I'll come in really close. Do you see how it looks a little bit more kind of chunky and not quite so smooth and soft? If it does kind of look like that, you may need to add a little bit more gel. So I think I'm gonna add just a tiny little bit more of that clear Sculptor, just to make sure that I have that good smooth consistency and that all of my glitter gets incorporated. Okay, that's definitely feeling a little bit better here. And we'll just keep mixing that. Okay, now it's really starting to come together nice and smooth and even. And press out all those air bubbles and then bring it all back together. All right, and then our last color. All right, you guys, what do you think? Are you liking the color mixes? Let me know in the chat. Put some hearts in the chat if you're liking the color mixes. Put some stars in the chat. I don't know if that's an option. Put some stars in the chat if you think we need to add more glitter. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. So again, just kind of spreading these out and then smoothing out any little bits of bubbles that may be in there. This one has an odd little glitter from somewhere in there that it's just gonna be part of our design. All right, so I'm seeing some hearts and some stars. Okay, I don't remember. What did I say? Hearts if you want more glitter? I don't remember. So I'm just gonna add more glitter. Okay, so you guys, what I've got here, we're gonna be doing a color fade or an ombre kind of a nail. What I like to do when I'm blending different colors together is add what I call a kicker color. So it's my little kicker color to make all of these colors blend really well together. And that's where our star sand comes in, okay? Star sand is, again, like I was saying before, it's really just a pretty iridescent glitter. It has all kinds of different colors to it. So by using this as a kicker color, I'm going to add it to all of my glitters, and this is what's going to make them really come together and look more kind of cohesive. So I'm just adding a little bit of that star sand to all of my glitters, and then we'll go ahead and mix these up again. All right, let's see. Again, just kind of spreading that through, making sure that I have a kind of a consistent amount of that glitter in each of my mixtures. So maybe on this one I might add just a little bit more. Just a touch. Can you ever really have too much glitter? I don't know. At some point your glitter or your gels may end up chunky, but other than that, never too much glitter, right? All right. So again, we'll just blend those together. Now, because I added more, I may feel like I need to add a little bit more gel to kind of thin these out just a little bit. And as I go, I can do that as needed. So again, it's just that clear Sculptor. I think maybe I'll add just a little bit more to each of these here, just in case, because I think we'll probably need it anyways. Okay. And again, just smoothing those together and blending. Yep, that's definitely feeling like a better consistency once I added that, just that little bit of extra clear gel in there. And again, we'll smooth those out, press out any bubbles, and then we'll bring that all back together again. All right. Let's see, Runners212 just subscribed. Thank you so much. We appreciate you very much. You guys, anybody else that's new to our channel, make sure you do hit that subscribe button so that you can get notifications. You always know when we're going to go live. Usually we're here, usually Monday through Friday, usually around 1 o'clock Pacific time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get the notification and join us again. We'd love to see you back here. All right, let's see here. Benson just joined and subscribed. Awesome, you guys. I love it. I love to see that. Thank you again so much. Much appreciated. And there's a J and X and ZZ Lynn. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but you subscribed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of you that are subscribing right now, you guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you. very much. Welcome to the Young Nails family. We are so happy to have you here and so happy to help you learn and enjoy and have some fun with glitter. All right, let's see. And XOXO Zoya, the product that I'm using, the clear gel, is our clear sculptor. That's from our Synergy line. And this is our hard gel system that we're using today. And we're just mixing our glitters in with our hard gel, and then we're going to create our nail structure and design with all of these different glitters. So we're just in the mixing process, and now I think we've got our mixing process good to go here. So let's get into the application. Okay, let me set some things aside, clean off my spatula really quick here. And then we've got our nail, kind of the shell of our nail created. And if you're just joining us, all I did was build out a thin extension with that same gel that we used to mix our glitters, and then put a little bit of our base gel over that. And now I'm just going to remove my form so that my gels can get a good solid cure all the way through. Okay. All right, so I've got my tile full of colors here. I've got my other tile here just to clean out my brush, again, making sure that that stays nice and clean. So what I'm going to start with is, let me come in here just a little closer for you guys. I'm going to start with my yellow gel mixture. So I'm going to take just a little scoop of that, and we're going to start with that right up at my cuticle area. And I just kind of drop that down onto the nail, kind of bounce my brush just a little bit, just to get that product right up to my cuticle area. And then I'm going to kind of work in a circular motion with my brush, getting that product all the way to my sides without touching my skin on the sides, without touching that cuticle area. You guys always want to make sure that you're keeping product off the skin, okay? You don't want to expose that chemical to your skin, to your client's skin, whoever you're working on. You want to make sure to keep that product off the skin, okay? Now what I'm going to do is just lightly start to kind of feather that product down so it just kind of fades off. I think I'm going to add just a tiny little bit more. I want just a little bit of a brighter yellow, and I think adding just a little bit more is going to give me a little bit brighter. So again, just kind of feathering off the edge, just barely kind of tapping with the tip of my brush, just kind of fading out that edge, kind of creating a little ombre on there, okay? We'll pop that into the light, and we're going to just kind of set that into place and freeze that where it's at. Let's see, Renner's 212 is asking what happens if it gets on the skin. So if you do get product on the skin, you want to make sure that you use an orange wood stick or a cuticle pusher or something. Clean that off the skin before you put that into the light to cure. You want to make sure that you're keeping product off the skin, because any product that does touch the skin, it's a chemical, and you want to make sure that you're not overexposing your skin to any chemicals. These are products that are FDA approved. They are for safe use as directed, but that does mean that you avoid the skin, okay? So any chemical that you're using, you want to make sure that it stays off the skin so that it doesn't lead to allergic reactions or contact dermatitis or anything like that. So the more you avoid the skin, the better off you're going to be, in the long run especially, okay? Let's go into our orange blend here. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of that orange, come in, and I'm going to drop that down kind of right where that last color started fading out. And I'm just kind of, again, kind of bouncing my brush a little bit on that, and then going back to those circular motions to move the product, okay? Same thing we did with the yellow. I'm just going to gently blend out the edge of it. And then I'm going to clean out my brush. I'm going to turn my brush around, and I'm going to just start to kind of blend that back up into the yellow. Now, you guys may be asking, why did I cure that yellow first? Because when I'm working in this kind of a process, I want to keep that yellow where it's at. If I were to try to blend my orange into my yellow with the yellow still wet, it's going to not blend as easily. This is just going to be an easier way for you guys to ombre your gels and your glitter gels, okay? So curing that first layer first, let's add just a little bit more of that orange, kind of brighten it up just a little bit more. Now you're noticing though that I'm not creating a whole lot of thickness with this application. I want to leave a little bit of space for to be able to put a clear gel over the top to really seal these glitters in. If I were to just build the whole nail with these glitter gels, what's going to happen is when I go to file, I'm actually going to file out that blend, and it might not be as perfect of a blend as I'm hoping for if I file over it. Okay, so make sure that you are leaving enough space. You guys can see from the side, it's still very thin. There's really not a whole lot of structure to this nail yet. So we're leaving enough space to be able to put some clear gel over the top of that to seal it. Okay, we're going back into the light for another quick freeze of 30 seconds, and then we'll go on to our pink and then our little purple there. And Lena Hampton, thank you so much for your kind words in the chat. I really appreciate you. And you guys, you are also awesome for being here with us. We appreciate you guys. We love to be able to offer you all of this free education on 5 days a week. So we appreciate you guys being here. Okay, so we've got our yellow, our orange. Let's go in with our pink now. And you can kind of see, because I added that star sand, all of these glitters are looking similar. They're looking like they go together. They look like they should be part of the nail. Okay. Sometimes if you don't add that little kicker color, like I call it, if you don't add that, they don't necessarily blend together as well. So adding that little kicker is going to help to keep them all looking fairly consistent. Okay. And again, we're doing just that same technique of dropping that product down, blend out the edge of it, blend that edge back into our previous color, and then we'll pop that back into the light again for a quick freeze. Now, as you're working on both hands. One hand is always going to be in the light while you're working on the other, and then you're going to rotate back and forth. So it seems like as we're working on just the one nail here that it's taking a little bit of extra time, but when you're working on a real person, when you're working on all 10 fingers, it's not going to take any more time, okay? So don't worry about that. All right, we'll come in with our final color. That's the purple. That was our mixture of shock and star sand. And we'll cap that end, clean out my brush a little bit, and then again, just kind of lightly blend and brush backwards to fade it into that pink. All right, I think I like that. And you guys, if you get to this point and you're like, ooh, I need some more color in a certain spot, go ahead and add more color if you need to, okay? That's all right, nothing wrong with that. I think we're good there. Let's go ahead and get that into the light. And again, we're gonna do just a quick 30-second cure. I'm gonna set this aside, you guys. Now, a lot of times what I will do is I'll hang on to these colors because at the end, there may be a point where maybe as I'm filing, I may miss an area, or maybe I end up filing a little bit of that glitter off on the area. You can always use these and just kind of come back in and maybe do a little touch up on that area. Hopefully we don't have that issue, but that's why I'm going to save these until the end. But usually what I do at the end, and I'll probably show you this when we get to that point. So sometimes I forget to show you though. But a lot of times what I'll do is I'll collect all of these together, mix them all together. It's actually going to be a really pretty kind of a pinky, purpley, really fun color. I'll mix them all together and then I'll save them. So I'll try to remember to show you guys that, but if I forget, that's what I do. Okay, so our colors are all blended together. What do we think? Do we think everything is good blended? I feel like, you know what, maybe I want just a tiny little bit more pink right up in here, which is totally fine. Again, you guys, if you get to this point and you're like, ooh, I just need a little more color, it is perfectly okay to add more wherever you need to. Touch things up a little bit, blend those in. And again, that's why I used that kicker color, that star sand, because everything is going to blend super, super easy together. And maybe even just a tiny little touch more of purple right through there. Okay, what do you guys think? I think that blends really, really well. Yep. Crystal Glitterbug, yes, it's just a bathroom tile from Home Depot or something like that. Yep, so what I'm using, and I'll show you on the back. Yep, just a cheapy little ceramic tile. You can get them at most hardware stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever home improvement store you guys have around your place. And they work really easy because you can use your spatula. You can clean up everything off of them. And then I use just polish remover, acetone, swipe, whatever you need to clean them off, and they work really great. Okay, so nice and easy. All right, so our layer of color is done. Again, you guys can see it is not very thick. There's not a whole lot of structure there at all. And let's see, Renner's 212, what if it gets too thick in some areas, like it's uneven? You can kind of see that it's not perfectly even. I've got some areas that yellow is a little bit thicker back here. If it were thicker, it's not going to matter. It's okay, because we're going to cap this again with another one of our gels to build up the structure of the nail. And it's just going to cap in there and everything's going to be fine. So not a big deal. Okay. All right, so you guys, I'm using our Build Pink. You can barely see that under the little scoocher thing. I don't know what the proper term is for that, but I'm calling it a scoocher thing. So we're going to use our Build Pink. Now, Build Pink it's a translucent pink, and it's very similar to our clear sculptor that we were using before. It's just a little bit thinner, but it's also got just a hint of pink to it. So it's clear, but it's got just a hint of pink. Now, you're not really going to notice that hint of pink, but what that little bit of pink is going to do is it's actually going to brighten up all of our colors underneath. So most of the time when I'm doing encapsulated designs like this, I use that Build Pink just because it makes my designs really pop. It really makes them just sparkle and shine, and it's gorgeous. You could definitely use the clear sculptor, but I feel like just a little bit more, you get just a little more oomph from the Build Pink. Okay, so all I'm doing is squeezing out a little bit of that Build Pink onto my nail, and then just gently working that down the length of the nail. Coming over to the sides, making sure everything gets capped. If I need to add more, I can add more. I usually add more when I am right in the center of that nail rather than adding more on the sides, because you don't want this to run. Build Pink is a little bit thinner than the clear sculptor, so especially in warmer temperatures, it is going to self-level a little bit more. And you can actually see on my side here, see how it's kind of running there? I want to make sure to get in there and get that product moved so it's not running down my sidewalls. It's not getting onto the skin. If it does get on the skin, again, make sure that you clean that off before you cure, okay? I'm gonna get this into the light really quickly here just to make sure that it kind of stops that from running. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just get my client's hand in there for maybe even just a quick 10 seconds, because that's going to stop that product from moving. And then I can check that nail and make sure if there's any more space where I need to add more or anything like that, I can always add more. Cloudy Skies is asking, where can you buy the gel? You guys, everything that I'm working with today is Young Nails products. So youngnails.com is our website. You can find all of these amazing products, everything from the glitters, the brushes, the gels, everything that I'm using today, even down to my table towels. Those are all available on our website. So I'm taking a look from the side now. Now that my gel it's not fully cured all the way through, but it's set so it's going to stop moving. So I can take a little time to look at this. Okay, I want you guys to really see. You can see that it really looks fairly flat right now, but I've got a little bit of thickness right back here at my cuticle area, and then I've got enough thickness in my free edge down here. What I don't have is an arch right through here. I want to make sure that I'm building up my stress area, which is right about here. I want to make sure that I'm building that up a little bit thicker to support this extra length. If I were to just leave this nail flat like it is, it's not going to have enough strength and durability right in that stress area right here. And if I were to jam this nail on something, hit it on the end, it's going to have more tendency to crack right through here. So this is why I need to build up a little bit more of an arch right through that area there. And I'm going to add just a little bit more product right down, again, that arch area to build up a little bit more thickness so I have a little bit more structure and durability for this length of a nail. Now, when you're working on shorter nails, you don't, oops, there is one heck of a string on that. I don't know where that came from. But if you're working on shorter nails, you don't necessarily have to build up the arch quite as much, but you still want to have a little bit of thickness through that stress area. So always make sure that you're building up that stress area just a little bit more, a little bit thicker, and you will have a lot more structure, oops, sorry guys, and support on that nail. Okay, if you have questions about structure and arch placement or apex, any of those terms that kind of get thrown around in the nail industry, we actually do have a really great video on structure of the nail and how to build up your arch, where to put that high point. So you can see my nails are definitely grown out. You guys, take a look at this nail here. Do you see how it's a little bit thicker right through here? That thickest part should be right back through the arch, right through here, okay? So if your arch and your apex is not placed properly, it's gonna be a little bit weaker right through that stress area. The reason that mine is thicker right through here is because my nails are grown out. You can see I definitely need a fill. Maybe next week we'll do a live and I'll do a fill on my own nails. But as that nail grows out, that high point also grows out. So that's why my highest point is grown out to here instead of being properly placed here. That just shows me that I really desperately need a fill. So like I said, you guys, maybe next week we'll do a fill on my nails and we'll do an actual what's called a rebalance, which means we're rebalancing that arch and we're putting it back where it's supposed to be. Okay, so join us next week, definitely. Okay, so our nail is cured out here. I think we're good. So I'm going to kind of rearrange a few things, move some stuff around, and I'm going to open up my desk here, get out my dust extractor, and then next thing I'm going to do is, before I do my filing, once my gel is cured, it does have a tacky residue to it. So we're going to take our swipe, that same product that we were using to cleanse the nail. I'm going to take a little bit of that on a lint-free wipe, and I'm going to go through and cleanse that whole nail, okay? We're going to get all of that tacky surface off, again, keeping that product, keeping that off the skin, okay? I want to make sure that I get my nail clicked in there really well, nice and tight in there. And then let's grab, I'm going to work with my electric file here, and before we were using that sanding band, I'm going to switch over to my X-Cut carbide. So anytime you're working with a carbide bit, let me clean this off a little bit and show you guys. Okay, so a carbide bit, what this is designed to shave down product, okay? Difference between the carbide and the sanding band, you can notice the sanding band looks more like a regular hand file. So it's going to be kind of that grit of a hand file, where this is to do more refining, more smoothing, whereas our X-Cut is designed to, like I said, shave down product, okay? Let me see if I can get nice and tight. There we go. Okay, so you can really see the difference in that grit. So again, the sanding band is more for smoothing and refining, whereas the X-Cut or even our safety bit, let me grab a safety bit really quick, guys. Our safety bit is for, same thing as the X-Cut. They're basically the same bit. It's just that the safety bit has a rounded top, which makes it a little bit easier for beginners if you're not quite so comfortable. If you do bump that cuticle area with that rounded top, it's not going to cut or damage the skin, okay? If you do get this one up onto that cuticle, you're not going to have a good result, okay? So if you're starting out, I do recommend the safety bit. If you're a seasoned pro, or if you're really comfortable working with the electric file, or if you're training and working on your practice hands, practice with that X-Cut, okay? All right, so we're gonna go in about 14,000 RPMs. I'm gonna turn my dust collector on here. Let me sit nice and straight, get my little trainer hand set up straight here. Okay, so I'm gonna start by working on my sidewalls. When I'm working on my sidewalls, basically the extension, so here and here, okay? What I want to make sure I'm doing is wherever I'm filing, so if I'm filing here, I want to make sure that I'm balancing and putting counter pressure on that other side. So I'm going to pull my bit down, but I'm also putting pressure here so that my nail doesn't go wobbling back and forth and things like that, okay? Let's see. Sorry, you guys, I see a couple of questions in the chat here. With all the different brands and terminology around the world, it's hard to know what people are talking about. You guys, it's definitely, everybody uses slightly different terminology, but, things, they ultimately mean the same thing. So it just kind of depends on who you're talking to and kind of the terminology that they teach with. The great thing about our Young Nails team is that we all use very similar terminology. So if you're here on a day where Greg is teaching a class, he's going to use very similar terminology to the days that I'm teaching classes. So you're always going to know kind of what we're talking about here, okay? Okay, so what I'm doing, cleaning up those sidewalls, I'm basically pulling straight down and straightening out that sidewall. Same thing on the other side. Now notice that I moved my thumb here so I can balance, so that I have complete balance of that nail, and again, it's not going to wobble back and forth, okay? Okay, once I have my sidewall straight, I'm going to turn the nail on the side. Do you see all that product that's hanging down the side here? Let me turn this off real quick. What I want to happen is I want to bring all of that product that's hanging down, I want to file that off, and I want this nail to come straight out from where that natural nail grows out from. So from straight out from that nail groove, okay? What I don't want to do is, I don't want to angle my file in and create a notch in that corner. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with my electric file, and I'm going to, again, balancing on the surface of the nail. Balance on the top so I'm not putting extra pressure on that nail bed, okay? I'm going to just come underneath here. Let me see if I can, there we go. And I'm going to basically just take that little bit of hanging product, and I'm going to pull my bit forward and just start to straighten that out, okay? So you can kind of see that's starting to get nice and straight. I've got a little bit more product back there, but here's the thing, you guys. You can get back into those, let me see if I can get this here. You can get all the way back in there with your bit on a natural nail. When you're working on the trainer hands here, what can happen is if you get too close and you bump into that, that rubber, the bit is actually going to kind of bounce off of it. So as you're practicing, I don't recommend trying to get too close, because again, it's going to kind of bounce and it's going to kick a little bit. So just kind of, you know, slowly work your way back up into that corner as close as you can, and then pull forward, okay? We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Now you guys notice, I actually do turn my client's hand on the side like this. So I'm looking, let me come back. I'm looking at my client's hand from this direction, okay? You can turn that client. They are mobile. They can move. They can shift their hands, and that way you can get the proper view and you can file without having to, like, you know, put yourself in a weird position or you sitting somehow that's uncomfortable. You guys, if you're working in salon 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you need to be comfortable. You need to make sure that you're sitting properly and that you're adjusting your clients so that they, so that you can see their nails properly without being uncomfortable, okay? They can be slightly adjusted and uncomfortable for a couple of minutes, and that's all it's really going to take to do your filing, okay? But you're sitting there for a longer period of time, so you need to make sure that you're comfortable. Always pay attention to your ergonomics, you guys. Okay, I'm just going to come right up around that cuticle area. And again, this is where I was saying, if you're new to filing, if you're new to the electric file, definitely start out with your safety bit, because that's going to give you a little bit more security, a little bit more comfortable feeling if you get a little bit too close to that cuticle. But I'm going to just come right up around that cuticle with my X cut here. And you can see that I'm really starting to taper that product down to that natural nail. What I ultimately want to happen is I don't want to be able to catch my nail at the edge of that product. If I do catch my nail there, that means that there's probably potential for that product to lift. So again, making sure that we're right flush down to that natural nail, okay? I'm going to work right down the arch of my nail, and I'm just kind of working from the center of the nail off to the side of the nail. I'm not trying to come all the way from side to side, and you guys have heard me say this a million times. If you try to go all the way from side to side, what can tend to happen is you may go too far onto this side, and then it can end up wrapping that bit around, okay? So you want to make sure, I'm going to show you from the front view, where I'm working is basically from here over, okay? I'm not trying to come all the way across like that. I'm just working from side over, okay? Anything on this side, don't worry about. We'll get to that point. I promise we'll get to that. Amelia Walter, we're not at the top coat chant yet. You guys, calm down. We got to file this nail first. I know you want to see all the pretty colors and all of that, but we got to get through the filing first before we can do our top coat. Okay, and those of you that are new, if you haven't joined us on one of our live streams before, when we get to the point of top coating, you can put it into the chat, just chant in the chat, top coat, top coat, top coat, okay? But we're not there yet. We still have to file our sidewalls here. So now I'm looking straight down the barrel of the nail, and I'm just gonna basically pull my bit towards myself to take down the bulk on those sides. So any of that product that we didn't get from down the center, we're gonna get those on the sides. On my left side here, I'm gonna use the top part of my bit up into the middle part of my bit, down into the base of my bit. By using all three of these areas on the bit, you're gonna get really nice even wear of your bit. Your bit is gonna last you much longer, and you're also gonna get a smoother finish. So instead of trying to use this part of my bit all the time, I can just flow. I can flow through the base of my bit, up to the middle of my bit, down to the top of my bit, okay? It's gonna just make your life much easier. It's gonna make your filing process much smoother. So again, just coming through, contouring all of my sides, making sure that everything is nice and even, okay? I'm gonna check one more time from the side here. I'm gonna take down a little bit more of that bulk there. Okay, looks like we are good. And then I'm gonna switch out. We got Captain, aye Captain in here again. Oh my goodness, you guys, I love it. All right, so I'm gonna switch back to my sanding band. And Cloudy Skies, the powder that's falling, this is all of the product I'm filing off. So all of this dust here is falling off as I'm filing. And my dust collector is actually collecting a lot of the dust that's coming off of this nail. All of this dust that you see, everything that's on my hands or that's on your client's hands, these are actually heavier particles of dust that I'm not super concerned with. Those we can just dust off. Everything that's going down here, you can see into my dust extractor. All of that dust that's being pulled down into here, those are really fine particles of dust, and they're just gonna get pulled right down in there, so it's not coming back into my breathing zone, okay? So that's why it's super important, if you're filing nails, if you're doing nails at all, it's super important to have that dust collector, okay? And you guys, I do have my dust collector mounted into my table. This one does come as a tabletop version, but I've just kind of reconstructed my table so that it sits down in there and it's not up on the surface. So you can definitely do that. It is a possibility, and I love how mine works like this. So, okay, so again, you guys, I switched over to my sanding band. What I'm gonna do now is just a little bit more refining. So again, I'm gonna come up, I'm gonna follow basically those same steps as I was before, refining that cuticle area, and then again, turning that nail on the side so that I can just flow through that arch. I'm actually looking directly from this side, you guys, so I can see what that arch looks like. I know that my free edge is nice and thin, my cuticle area is nice and thin, but then I still have that little bit of higher point right through that stress area. Again, just kind of flowing through, and then just like before, I'm going to turn that finger so I'm looking straight down the barrel. I'm going to be able to pull that bit straight down the barrel. And again, really refining so that I have a little bit less filing to do by hand. I always say if I never had to file another nail, I would be the happiest nail tech. I love the artistic part of doing nails, but you guys, filing is actually an art in itself, okay? Everybody files a little bit differently, and I always think that your filing techniques are your signature. So it's gonna make your nails look like you did them, okay? All right. Last thing we're gonna do with our filing is I'm gonna come in with my hand file. Now I'm gonna come out here and show you guys. So when you're working on your sides, I'm gonna start by filing my sidewalls first. And when you're filing on your sidewalls, you wanna make sure that that file stays straight in line with the finger and that you're not angling that file, okay? Notice that all I can see right now is that blue line down the center of my file. That way I know my file is straight up and down. I'm not angling it like this. If you start to see that gray part of your file, that means that you're probably angling in. You're probably gonna cut and create a notch right on those corners, okay? So make sure you're keeping straight in line with that finger. Just like before, I'm using my thumb to balance on the other side so it keeps my nail nice and straight and it's not wobbling back and forth. Same thing on my other side, balance on your side here so it's not wobbling back and forth. And we'll just create our beautiful structure and shaping here. Cleaning up those sides. And I'm not going to worry too much about this point right here because I'm going to show you how to check that and make sure that that's perfect, okay? We're going to come up around my cuticle area and just a few strokes right around that cuticle, again making sure that that product is flush down to the nail and that there's nobody at our cuticle area. There's no little ridge at our cuticle area. And then I'm going to come around those sides, making sure everything is rounded, tapered, contoured, and then back up. Same thing on that other side. Around that cuticle area, down those sides, and contouring, okay? And I kind of come in, push up, and pull down. Notice that I'm kind of coming at a curved kind of a direction. That way it's going to really contour those sides in. If you're just filing flat that whole time, you're going to put a flat spot here, a flat spot here, and a flat spot here. By pulling that file all the way in that curved direction, that's going to give you really perfect contouring. Okay? So up and around, and then I'm going to take a look from my side here. Looks like my lower arch could use just a little bit more work right through there. So now it's coming straight out from that natural nail. Dust that off. There we go. Looks right on. Okay? Let me check my other lower arch on this side. Again, making sure that file is coming straight out from that natural nail, straight in line with that finger. Dust her off here. All right, looks good there. And then I'm just going to kind of taper in my free edge just a tiny little bit. And then we're good. Okay, now, last way that I always do my filing is I will turn that client's hand around. Let me readjust here real quick. Okay, so I'm going to turn my client's hand around. I'm going to look at this nail from her perspective, okay? So when your client goes home, she's going to look at her nails like this, right? So that's how I want to check her nail. I want to make sure that everything is straight how she's going to see it. So I'm going to adjust anything from this view if I need to. Okay, clean up my sidewalls, clean up my edges. And this is how I'm going to perfect that shape. Ooh, I think we're going to do a nice sharp stiletto here today, you guys. A lot of times I'll kind of round that edge out just a little bit so that my clients don't poke their eyeballs out. But today I'm feeling feisty. I'm feeling like we need a little spunky to this nail. So we're going to leave that as a nice tight stiletto. And then I'm going to look, readjust here. There we go. I'm going to look backwards down the barrel of this nail. And then I'm going to catch any last little lumps or bumps looking from this direction. You guys always turn your client's hand around and check from this direction. It is amazing the tiny little details that you're going to be able to perfect from this view. Okay, you can see little tiny details that you may not have seen from looking straight on the nail. Okay, so I think we are good to go there. All right, you guys, it's time for the chant. Those of you that know the chant, start putting that into the chat. Chant in the chat. All right, so I turned off my dust collector. I'm going to reassemble my station here, get my towels on there. And then let's go ahead and dust off this nail. There you guys go. I love it. I love seeing that in the chat. Okay, so again, we're going to dust off our nail. I'm going to use a little bit more of that swipe that we were using earlier. A little bit of that on my brush. We're going to dust off that nail. Cleanse that really well. Make sure that there's no more dust anywhere on that nail that's going to contaminate our top coat or anything like that. So let me find my top coat here. And again, you guys, I just grabbed my Ultimate Finish. You notice that I use this one quite a bit during my demos. This is usually what I use on a lot of my dimensional designs and things like that. It just is a really pretty top coat. But before I do my top coat, I'm always going to do one more coat of our protein bond. Now, I think somebody asked earlier in the chat, what do I use to buff the nail? Now, normally when I'm working on nails like this, I actually don't buff them, okay? You don't need to buff if you're gonna be doing a gel top coat. If you do go in and buff, if you buff too much, you can actually make that nail too smooth, and then your top coat is gonna have issues with adhesion, and it may start to chip, okay? So with our top coat, we are gonna get rid of that little piece of fuzz on the side. We're going to do one more coat of Protein Bond, and what Protein Bond is going to do is it's going to kind of fill in any of those little scratches, and it's going to give us a really perfect tacky surface for our top coat to adhere to, okay? So notice that once I do put on that Protein Bond, you don't see any more of those little scratches in there from filing, okay? Then let's go back into our ultimate finish. All right, you guys, let me come in real close so you can see the magic happening. All right, you guys, here we go. Here's the top coat. So I'm gonna just kind of start to brush that on, and then I just kind of wiggle my brush a little bit closer so it kind of fans out those bristles, gets right up to that cuticle area without touching their skin, and then pull down the length of that nail. Okay, around kind of that curved side, and then pull down that nail. All right. Make sure everything is nice and smooth. Make sure I've capped my edges. And then let's go ahead and cure this nail out completely. And this one is going to go into our light for a full 60-second cure. Okay. Now, I remembered to show you guys. So what I like to do, so these were all the colors that we used on this nail to create that really pretty ombre blend, okay? What I like to do at the end, let me just turn this so I'm not getting light hitting my gels on my tile here, but what I like to do is once I'm done with these colors, I know I didn't have any other touch-ups to do, I'm gonna take all of these colors, pull them together, okay? And then you guys, you can actually use this and use it just like that, okay? If you want to just kind of, you know, pick up little bits like that, and you can use that onto the nail, or you can just take the whole entire thing, combine that all together, blend them all together, and really just mix those up. And this is going to give you a whole different color. And then you can store this in a little white mixing jar. Now you guys make sure that if you're storing your gel mixes like this, make sure that you are using, let me grab one here. So make sure that you are using the white mixing jars rather than the clear ones, because the white ones are going to be a little bit more light proof. So if you do have them sitting on your table and there's light coming in your window, it can cure the product if you're using a clear jar. Okay, so always store your gels into your white jars. Okay, so this is our final glitter mixture. Okay. So you can always use that on another nail or use it for a whole different design. All right, so we've got our final look here. So this is going to be our beautiful sunset, or it could be a pride nail. I know June is Pride Month, so you can use it for that, but just a really pretty ombre color blend, and it's going to be a beautiful for the summer. And you guys, make sure, use any of your glitters that you want. Do these color ombres, do these blends. Make sure that you use your kicker color if you're blending colors, and that way it's going to help to bring all of those colors together nice and easily, okay? All right. You guys, I really hope, let me pop around here real quick. I hope you guys enjoyed today's lesson. I hope you guys learned something fun. I hope you are having a wonderful Friday. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that you can join us on our live streams. We're usually here live on Monday through Friday, and I hope to see you guys back, and we will see you guys again next week. And yeah, I think we'll be back next week on Monday. So hopefully you guys have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then.